Welcome to Set and Forget Traders, where precision meets patience. This isn't guesswork, it's strategy, structure, and the smart money's roadmap. If you're tired of chasing trades, strap in. We'll show you how to trade like the banks and not against them. If the market noise has been costing you money and peace of mind, you are in the right place. Hit the subscribe button. This is where structure meets mastery. Welcome to the analysis of AUDUSD. We are going to preview last week and we're going to forecast maybe the coming week what we're expecting on the markets. This being the demand chart, we'll first analyze the demand chart and next we will be focusing on the supply chart to have a perspective of what really happened. Was it in line with the expectations? And yeah, sure to follow the analysis. Welcome. So the demand chart is here. This is the daily time frame of the AUDUSD, and what you're seeing here is just a mastery of demand and supply. You're able to see that our entry, we're able to enter, set and forget. Then we could take our partials at the pivot, anticipating that we are going to push price into the demand zone because buyers should be at this demand zone. All right, so let's gear up and see why we decided to take this trade. This is on Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, sure. So last week the price had closed above the demand zone and we had highlighted the next demand zone, which is above the price at proximal line 0.66131 and the decimal line being 0.66287. You know what the market makers decided to do? They couldn't take the price to the next demand zone because they knew buyers are going to take their profits and run away. So what did they do? They decided to push price below. But this was in line with the supply chart. All right. Sellers had, the price was closing at the supply chart. You can see it here at the half moon. That's where the price was at. And that's why the market decided to use the supply zone to make their entry. But back to the demand zone. If the buyers were not going to push the price, they were going to position themselves at this lower time frame demand zone. 0.65821. That's where the buyers took their profits. It is a lower time frame demand zone, and that's exactly where they took their profits. What happened when the buyers take their profit? We're going to see a reduced volume in the demand orders, and it provides as well a perfect condition for sellers to come in. So we have two scenarios here. Buyers are going to make an entry either after sellers have taken their profit, or they're going to make an entry at their demand zone. Scenario 2, sellers are going to make an entry after buyers have taken their profits and after the price hits the supply zone. So two scenarios here. That's why we are using demand and the supply. So as you can see here, sellers decided to make an entry after buyers have taken their profit, allowing them to take their profits and using the weakness to make an entry. So 0.6581 was a good entry for sellers after buyers have taken their profits. And you remember we had highlighted this pivot 0.64868 as the entry back for buyers, and that's what happened again. It has been an interesting journey for those who have been watching, and we are really glad for God allowing us to telepath with you bros, and it's really impressive. So even after the buyers made an entry, they took their first profit at the lower time frame demand zone and their second profit at the next lower time frame demand zone, so allowing them not to go into the main demand zone. So after they are taking profit, we could see a reduced volume. Then there was a pushback and we made a very clean entry. That was a very clean entry. That was a very clean entry. Very clean entry. And then, again, you see here, this is where this wipeout happened. The president of the USA, Trump, was pushing for Powell to resign. Some of the news that happened. And buyers took profit again at this lower time frame demand zone, 0.65484. It happens in a quick span of time that if you had not set your limit or your take profit, you're not going to find it. That's why we're saying set and forget, because when you know the levels where they are, you're able to set. You might think you're kidding, but let's try and navigate to see this level. If it was really happening at the buyers are taking profits at the demand zone. So we'll go at the 1 hour time frame. It's here. I'll just put it here before the candle, and you can see, you cannot see it, it's just a wick. On the 30 minutes time frame, you cannot see them, but you can see there was an attempt to take profit there. On the 15 minutes time frame, again, you cannot see the entry, just a quick wipeout and a quick drop. On the 5 minutes time frame, there you see them. Market pushed up and buyers took their profit. After they take the profit, they're going to leave the market. The first reaction will be reduced volume. That's what happened. And then sellers got in and pushed price lower. So this was hidden on the 5 minutes, but on the 4 hour time frame, you won't find that perfect entry. But because we knew the demand and the demand zone where there is, we are able to position ourselves before. And later on, we could see price pushing lower, and again on Friday, buyers pushed price high, but it was just a reaction of them taking their profits. So next, what are we going to expect in the coming week? The next coming week, we are going to expect the daily candle to be below the pivot, 0.64868, so that we can continue selling. But if it's above, it will be a risky affair. Once it goes below 0.64868, that's why you see the daily candle was not able to close below. If it closes below, sell, because buyers are going to exit the market for sure. Let's check on the 4 time frame to see any demand zone. Yeah, sell this price into the next demand zone. Let me show you. Yeah, sell it here, because you're coming late, as we just continue to holding the trade. So this will be the order block. Yeah, around how many points? Around 530. So you sell from 0.64868 to the next demand zone. Proximal line 0.64327 and 0.64187. As well, you might leave this trade to go into this lower time frame demand zone. All right. If you don't want to take your profits here, you might allow it to go into the lower time frame demand zone 0.63912, and the last take profit you should take your profit for this sell is 0.6306. all right, don't go past 0.6306 unless you are in a position trade. All right, let's check the supply chart to see what really happened. Welcome to this supply chart. And you're already seeing a very remarkable price action. The sellers came and took profits exactly at the supply zone. Proximal line 0.64665 and distal line 0.64576. We have not placed these order blocks today. We have been having them for the last 5 years or so, since we discovered that you cannot change laws. You can only observe them and obey them. You cannot, and this is this week. We have been having the same levels all through the encounter. And this week, the sellers took their profits exactly at the supply order block, and that's what you can observe. They took their profits exactly. Even after we had our entry here, we could have taken our profits and left the market. This analysis of demand and supply, it's a very profound analysis. You might be interested to learn from us why we're having these order blocks here. Be interested and seek to understand why we are so confident with the analysis and we're able to have very precise entry and precise exit. So the sellers took the profit and price pushed up because reduced volume. Sellers have already exited and there was a push up after the volume reduced. That didn't mean the trend has changed to bullish. It meant the sellers have already taken their profits and they're not currently. And that's why sellers came back on the New York session of the last day of the week. All right. So on checking on the daily time frame, what are we expecting to see in the coming near week? We're expecting sellers to push price lower into the next supply zone. Let me show you, let me highlight it for you. We're going to push price lower into 0.6295. And be cautious that price might come again into the main supply zone. Yeah, we are not bragging that we know where the price is going, but we are very cautious to seek for our rights and demand them instead of begging. Price might go back to the supply zone 0.6597, but in goodwill, we expect a continuation of price into the next supply zone at 0.6296. That's it. If you have missed, sorry. So the next analysis we're going to check is the moving average, what the moving average is allowing us to see, and this is the retailer's moving average. Yeah, the monthly candle has already hit the support, so we expect the monthly candle to close bearish. On the weekly time frame, there is support, so AUD is facing quite a big rejection. All right, on the daily, we see the support around here, 0.64502, but the trend is changing to bearish. All right, you can see on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Tuesday, the price turned. On Tuesday is the day that the change in trend happened. The Wednesday candle tried to go up, but the moving average pushed it lower. On Thursday, they were pushed, confirming the sell trend has already started. All right. We don't check on the 4-hour time frame because it's not quite clear, but quite looks informative. The trend is bearish as at the 4-hour time frame, but take cautious of these support levels 0.64735 and 0.64597 and 0.64410. Yeah, take cautious of those two levels. Let's check on the institutional order block. When the month started, we could highlight that the monthly candle had closed on this support, on this resistance, and the monthly candle is trading lower. We expect to see maybe a fundamental pushing price lower, but here we are just aligning ourselves with quite a understanding. On the weekly, the price closed above the support, and the weekly low tested the support 0.64533. On the daily time frame, we saw a change in trend, but on Monday, Tuesday, price closed on the support. Price went up. Thursday, it changed the trend to bearish. On Friday, there was a retracement, but it was closing below. So we are expecting a bearish play. But be informed, there is a very stiff support below. if we check on all the institutional and the retail, there is a very stiff support. I'm anticipating to see fundamental being the driving force of change of trend. Yep. Lastly, we check on the simple moving average. Bearish on the monthly. On the weekly, again bearish, but price closed just above the support. On the daily, we are seeing bearish somehow, but the best entry to sell will be around 65.214 and 65.45. So our entry is safe. Even if the price pulls back again, our entry is safe. On the 4-hour time frame, bearish, looks bearish. So that's it, guys. If you have any inquiry, just be sure to inquire from us. And we're not sharing here the analysis for you just to squeeze your position into this trade. You can find other positions from the analysis too. We are just complimenting those who are stuck to AUDUSD so that they might make better decision. That's it for week 30. And consult us if you have any queries. Join our community, join our trading rooms, and we'll be glad to walk with you in the path of righteousness. Thank you for tuning in. Set and forget.